Federation versus Freedom by Babasaheb Ambedkar. 9. Part 7. There is another reason why it would be desirable to have a federation of British India only. The federation of British India and of the Indian states cannot work harmoniously. There are two elements which I am sure will produce a conflict between British India and the Indian states. The first element rises out of the difference in the position of the representatives of British India and those of the Indian states. The representatives of British India will be free men. The representatives of the Indian state will be bondmen of the political department. The sources of mandate of those two sets of representatives in the federal legislature will be different. The British Indian representatives will be engaged in extending the authority of the ministers. The states' representatives are sure to act and will be made to act so as to lend support to the authority of the Governor General as against the ministers. This conflict is inevitable and it is sure to embitter the feelings of British Indians towards the Indian states. This was precisely what happened in the last regime in the provinces. The feelings of the elected members towards the nominated members in the old provincial councils was certainly unfriendly. This experience, I am sure, will be repeated in the federal legislature. That it should be so is very natural when one section of the House feels that the other section has been brought in to thwart its wishes and is acting as the tool of some power outside of the control of the legislature. This is one element of disharmony. The other element of disharmony is the disparity in the position of the British Indian states under the Federation. Equality before law is a precious thing, but not all people value it for the same reason. Most cherish it as an ideal. Few realize why it is crucial. Equality before the law compels men to make common sense with all others similarly affected. Whereas if there is no equality, if some are favored and others are burdened, those especially favored not only refuse to join those who are burdened in the struggle for equality, but actually take sides against them. A dictator might, as the kings did in the olden times, pull out one by one the teeth of a few without necessarily exciting the resentment of the other people. On the contrary, the others will join in the raid. But suppose a law was made that all must contribute, or as much money as the dictators ask, for under penalty of their teeth being drawn out, all would rise in opposition. There is no equality between British India and the Indian states under the Federation. Indian states enjoy many benefits and many exemptions which are denied to British India. This is particularly so in the matter of taxation. There is bound to be great acrimony between the representatives of British India and those of the Indian states as to who should bear the load of taxation first. Patriotism vanishes when you touch a man's pocket, and I am sure the states' representatives will prefer their own financial interest to the necessities of a common front to make the executive responsible to the legislature. The end.